Hi, I'm Jamie Elless. I'm one of the Opus 1 composers for this year. I'm a composer from the Midlands, currently studying at Trinity Larvin.
Hi, I'm Pia. I'm originally from Nottingham, but I'm currently based in London. I'm a student at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama, and I'm currently partaking on the Britten Sinfonia Opus 1 scheme. Do you have one that's a good starter question?
Let's have a look. Oh yeah, okay. Right at the start. How did you find the application process for Opus 1?
Yeah, relatively simple to fill out as far as applications go. Found it was like a really accessible process as well, which is really nice. Yeah, I can't, to be honest, it feels like a long time ago.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a short project, but it feels like ages ago since we applied. I remember it being very easy and inclusive. It was extremely easy to get through, and it was really like, if I had any questions, I knew that Rachel was on the other end of an email, so that was really good. Really well organised, yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading it as a sort of first step on the ladder, compositionally, and in terms of your progression, which is good. And then they had a list of all of the organisations that if you've been involved in, maybe that isn't necessarily a scheme for you that time around, which
really,
is, I think,
really open,
yeah, which means I guess it's quite selective, but in the best way.
Yeah, I had something I was going to say then, but I totally forgot what it was. It was really good as well. Rachel would have been really proud of me.
I asked you the question.
Yeah,
what is it again? How did you find?
Well, we'll do a different one because I think I've kind of answered it as well.
Yeah, fine.
Did I? We'll do a different one. Yeah, go for it.
How have you found working with Britten Sinfonia?
It's been a treat. Yeah, it's been a real treat. It's been nice to sort of come out of an isolated period of time through lockdown and have something so efficiently run and so well organised. I think it's been nice to sort of not have too much stress. The only stress has been deadlines to submit scores, and it's not been through bad organisation at all. It's been really streamlined. We've met a lot of the key players in Britten Sinfonia, which when I've worked with other organisations, we've not met any of the higher ups. So we've all, from the start, I felt like a part of the Britten Sinfonia, which is very nice. It's very, very grounding.
Yeah, I think we've been really well looked after. It's lovely. We've got a few freebies, some
Absolutely,
CDs, badges. It feels like there's a real longevity to this process as well, because I mean we've all really connected as young composers, all doing various different things musically, but all have one thing in common, which is obviously trying to recover opportunity given the last 18 months. So I feel like going forward there'll be lots of opportunities to meet at future concerts, which will be really
totally.
nice.
I think it's they've done well in choosing 8 very different musicians to compose music for this, because even at the start of the first workshop we were all writing totally different things.
Yeah.
And the end of the project, I mean, even my piece in particular, I've not included anything from my first workshop, and it's so nice to see how other people's pieces have changed over this project as well. That's not even that question. I just thought I'd go for a rant then.
No, I think the structure of the 3 workshops has been really helpful, because we all came into the process with a kind of blank slate, an opportunity to bring new ideas to the fore, which is a kind of dream when you're working with really high profile players and an organisation, to actually have, you know, a time slot for yourself to just try out ideas. And I found the players to be really open-minded, which is also very refreshing, with sort of classical musicians, you know, willing to dive into anything, give anything a go. And it's been really nice to get to know those players on a one-to-one kind of basis.
And we've not felt patronised at all, because although it was advertised as sort of a first step on the ladder, it's not felt like a totally introduction to composition kind of session. We've been treated as composers and as serious musicians from the start, which I think is key to any kind of project like this. I think some projects I've worked on in the past have treated young composers as young before they're composers, and that's not been the case with this. It's been, from the start, we've been very, like you say, we've been looked after. We've been treated with the respect that we all deserve, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, and it's given me a prime opportunity to come to Cambridge, one of my favourite cities in the world. Yeah, and meet some amazing people.
What's been the most challenging thing about working on Opus 1?
I think it isn't a challenge specific to this scheme, but I always find starting any composition particularly difficult. Just, it's that having a clean slate to do whatever you want is a dream, but at the same time it's kind of difficult because, what do you use as inspiration? But again, the fact that it's not deadline orientated and that I've had chance to work with the musicians themselves and explore process-led compositional work, which is something that I'm really interested in at the moment, has been really great. I guess I've seen this process has been great because I've seen aspects of my composition or like my development that I'd like to work on. So I mean that's it's been a great opportunity for some reflective action and like self-criticism, but in a really, really constructive way and in a really supportive environment. So it's been challenging at times. It's been actually like a really busy summer now that the musical, the artistic landscape's kind of starting up again, and things are really cracking off. It's been a lot happening, but any composer will always experience deadline orientated anxiety in some respects, but when you're working with really supportive people, I think it makes the experience very enriching.
Yeah, totally. I think it's been a challenge as well to sort of have this as our first real project outside of lockdown.
Yeah.
To jump straight back into the music has been a massive anxiety-inducing experience. But yeah, I think the challenging thing as well as that was how short our brief was. I mean, our brief was all we really had was our instrumentation and our 3 to 4 minute time limit. And although that's short, it's incredibly hard to start a piece that is going to be short from the start.
Yeah.
I write very long things and very drawn out things, things that I want to draw listeners into, and to try and do that in a 3 or 4 minute time frame has been really challenging. It's been really good to sort of see how other composers have done that and approached that as well.
And I guess from an outside point of view, the two quartets have very obscure instrumentation. A quartet which you perhaps haven't really written for before or haven't heard music written for that ensemble before. So that's a whole challenge in itself, dealing with the specificity of each instrument in that combination. Yeah. But again, that's so exciting because how often would you get that opportunity elsewhere?
Absolutely.
Probably.
I think that we all sort of did a bit of research before we started on the first workshop, and none of us could find any pieces, especially for our quartet, that were written. We felt like, I think we are right, have written new pieces for a new ensemble, a new instrumentation group. So I think it's kind of exciting to be that innovative.
Trailblazers.
Yeah, trailblazers. Absolutely.
Pioneers.
We're just that good.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's been really challenging, but it's been totally worthwhile as well. I think the challenges have made it so much more special, for definite.
What would your advice be for future applicants?
Something that Joe Cutler mentioned, who was our mentor this year, along with Dobrinka. But Joe said to own those 4 minutes. I think it's really important that we're not trying to write anything that we don't want to write or that we think that other people might like. Owning those 4 minutes and making them as us as possible is the most important thing. And as well, listening to the mentors and the instrumentalists and the other composers, because you're going to learn much more from them than you will from locking yourself away in a bedroom and trying your best to work. Listening to each other, listening to each other's music, celebrating it, and just really owning the time you've got. Because although it's only sort of 2 workshops and a recording day for us, it's a long time to work on your music. We've had months in between. We've had 40-minute sessions at the workshops. It's a long time, and although your session runs by quite quickly, it's a long time to run through ideas with these musicians. So bounce off as much as you can. I'm going to ask you the same thing, but I didn't want to just be like, oh, what about you?
I need to just think about this for a minute.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think my advice would be follow your compositional interests. don't think that you have to fit a sort of preconceived notion of what might be good or what the players might think is good. I like to personally think about what the players might like or might like to play, but I mean follow your interests and communicate with the players, and it's a process where you can really, communicate with them, and it can be this bilateral thing.
Yeah, the main thing is, as long as applicants are like honest with themselves and honest with the performers and honest with each other and the mentors, that's the only way these kind of projects work. Especially this, just being in such an open, supportive and honest atmosphere, and having quite brutal criticism sometimes when it's needed from either players or mentors. It's the only way we're going to learn, and it's made 8 very distinct pieces, and it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't as honest and open as it has been.
Yeah, I think for composers, filling out that application form, talking about what you would like to get out of the process is really important, like what you would bring to the process, but also what you'd really like to get out of it and what your interests are. Because, like you said, we've got 8 wonderful composers who are all doing very different things, and variety is the spice of life, as they say.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess it's being honest about that and communicating that in your application, and that will come through, I think.
Cool.
Is that it?
Smashing it.
Have you got more? Is this going okay? Sorry.
Great, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
I should hope so.
Blooper reel.
I should have. I'm not watching the blooper reel. I think there's only one left I've got.
Okay.
What's been your favourite moment in Opus 1?
I think just the recording session we've had, listening to all the pieces in there. Well, then I wouldn't even say they're finished necessarily, but it's just seeing the overarching development materialise into some form where it's being recorded, and having all the tech set up and being in the concert hall, and it's a really exciting process. It's nice to see everyone's journey throughout the process.
Totally. I think it's my favourite part has just been being in the music again and seeing the in front of our eyes, seeing how much we've all grown over the past few months. We were all very much using the first workshop as a free pass to just splash ideas out, see what sticks. And it worked. And by the second workshop, by the end of the second workshop, at the start of the recording day, we'd all had these incredible journeys and made 8 very incredible pieces out of it. My favourite moment has just been seeing how relaxed everyone is today at the recording session. And all 8 of us have made a lot of progress, and to for all of us to sit back and be like, right, yeah, cool, we finished a piece, let's record it. It's really great to see everyone having done so well and to be so proud of themselves, because it's been a really fun 4-ish months, and we've all done some great things. Very proud of everybody.
I'm proud of everyone too.
Yeah.
Every conversation I've had with the performers during my workshops has been particularly enriching. I think also hearing from Joe and Dobrinka and getting their advice and their mentorship has been really special. But also being part of those experiences when other people have been working on their pieces as well, because although it's not directly related to me, I've learned so much from observing and being welcomed into that space, which I think when you're revealing part of you and your work is quite, it can make you quite vulnerable. So I feel very, very blessed to have been part of everyone else's journey as well.
And I think your workshops in particular have been really joyful to watch, because you've worked so not from a score for most of this, and even your final score has been really sparse and really beautifully laid out, and seeing you coming from the first person and just sort of quite literally just say like, right, do this, I've written some words down, see what happens, and it just worked, and it was just so refreshing to see everyone else's compositional approaches and see them all progress over the project. So yeah,
and likewise I feel like yours has really, really developed, and it's been so wonderful to be part of that journey.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
it's been great.